Hey, Mike, what do Kelly Slater and PT have in common?
I don't know. They're both world champs?
Nope, they both own Endless Summer box set.
Oh my God, rad. You guys, you can get it too. The link's in the show notes.
Welcome to the Stinky Booties podcast, where two old wankers talk about surfing and nothing. Here's your hosts, Mike and Bill.
There it is. All right. Hey, Stinky Booties
We are here live.
from Shoots, Fish and Beer in South O's. Not even South O, I guess. It's not technically
Wisconsin.
South O, but to me, it's South O.
I
So-
still say it's like central,
Yeah.
kind of central.
Hey, we got to get going
Go.
in this show, but real quick, if anybody wants to reach out to us, they can reach us on Instagram. How? Since I don't have Instagram.
The Stinky Booties at the Stinky Booties.
Right. And then you can also email us at stinkybootiespodcast@gmail.com.
Perfect.
I'm frothing right now. You know
we
why?
have guests today.
That's why I'm frothing.
Yeah. Tell 'em.
So, who we have,
tell
let's get to it.
everybody who we have.
So we have,
Super special guest.
yeah, we're here with Save Oceanside Sand. We have Bob Ashton, the president, Bob Walker, VP and founding director, and we also have Jamie Timberlake from the city of Oceanside to answer, at least fill in as needed as a technical advisor, it sounds like. So anyway, so welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Bill. Mike, good to be here today.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys coming out and taking your time out to inform the public to what's going on and what we need to do.
Yeah. So if you don't know, Stinky Booties is Southern California's best, because we said it's the best surf and Southern California lifestyle podcast. So Oceanside and sand is definitely a part of the lifestyle that we live, and a lot of people that visit Oceanside. So we're anxious to hear what you guys do, what you're all about, and how we can help get the word out of what you're doing.
We appreciate you guys giving us the time to do this, and so we can talk about the beaches and the condition of the beaches here in Oceanside.
Great.
So let's start there, actually.
It's all yours.
What are the conditions of our local beach here in Oceanside?
Well, Mike, if you walk down to the shoreline at Oceanside right now, say you walk down to Seagaze, or we walked right down Wisconsin Avenue here, there's no beach, no dry sand any time of the night or day south of Seagaze, which is just south of the playground by Betty's Lot up by the pier. And so when you look at it, we have cobble, and we have some nice flat wet sand at the low tides.
Yep.
But no dry sand.
Yeah.
No dry sand.
Beaches are non-existent, really.
Yeah, especially with this last big storm. It pulled a lot of sand off our shoreline, and it's out there somewhere, but it's certainly not on our shoreline.
Doesn't do us good underwater.
No, but this has been going on for a while, and that was kind of the nexus of the formation of Save Oceanside Sand in 2019. And I'll let Bob speak to that a little bit, because we're a grassroots bunch of locals that just got together and got tired of looking at the lack of sand on our shoreline.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that, by the way.
Yeah, it was really amazing how it all started. We a friend of mine, Dirk Ackerma, he's the one who came up with this idea. He calls me up and says, "Bob, I got a proposal for you, and let's meet over at the Pokey Shop downtown Oceanside." So we met there, and he says, "I was over watching them dig the holes for the parking lots for the hotels that they're building downtown Oceanside, and they're trucking all the sand out of here, and we need the sand on the beach. We need to do something about this." And so we started talking about this in his Pokey Shop, and this woman walks up to us and says, "I'm not one to eavesdrop, but what you guys are just talking about, I'm 100% in." So that really kind of lit a fire under us and said, wow, now is the time that we need to get something going. And as soon as we started talking to everybody, it's like all the books just opened up. It's like everybody's going, yeah, this is,
right.
Let's do it. We talked to the city. We went over and talked to the city engineer. At that time, it was Kyle Koger, and he's going, I'm 100% in. This is exactly what we need. I'm a person who likes to hear about there's a problem. I like to design it. I like to fix it and move on to the next problem. And so it just opened the doors for us all the way through.
There's irony there. You're in Oceanside. Everybody knows we need sand. We're digging giant holes that's sand.
Correct.
And driving it away.
Yeah.
We're just like, wait a minute, hold on. What are we doing here? Everybody just take a second.
Yeah.
Well, Dirk actually followed some of the dump trucks as to where's this sand
Really?
going? Yeah.
Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
A lot of it went up into up in what's that, Indian Hills, or what's that hill over
Sleeping
there?
Indian?
Sleeping Indian. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a nursery or something up there, and a lot of it went in to fill in some valleys and like a nursery up there. So he followed it there, and then I think some went somewhere else too. I'm not positive exactly, but I do know that some went up.
So we can go get it. When we need it, we're coming back.
No, it was,
I think it's gone now,
I
though.
think it was purchased.
Yeah.
Unless we can get a nice storm in there and wipe that out, bring it down.
Right.
But you know, to Bob's point, you know, he brings up this issue of sand being excavated and hauled away. But there's a good end to that story, because once we started engaging the city said, "Man, you're right. We need to do something." So within about a year, the city funded their own study to really take a good look at our shoreline and come up with solutions to nourish the beach and retain the sand. Because that's the key thing, right? If you don't retain the sand, we've put over 200 million cubic yards of sand on our shorelines since records have been kept.
Okay.
200 million cubic yards. And
It's all in Black's Canyon.
And that'll make a beach, the whole length of our beach, almost a mile out into the ocean.
Wow.
If we put that sand on our beach today.
So it's all down in Black's in the canyon.
It's down in the Carlsbad Canyon. It's down in the submarine canyons.
Wow.
It's not here. It's in Carlsbad because they have retention devices.
Well, you know, one thing real quick. My day job is involved in commercial real estate. If you would have let that developer, if you would have said, hey, you want to just dump that sand right here, they would have been like,
All over it.
you're saving me literally hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I'll do it right now.
Yeah. No, but there is a formal program now called the SCOOP program, and it's an opportunistic sand program that the cities can get a permit for 150,000 cubic yards a year for a 5-year period. So they can take advantage of things like that. But there's quite a bit of rigor associated with it, because they have to sample the sand. It has to be less than a percentage of fines. It has to be good beach quality sand, because we don't want to put adobe clay on our beaches,
silt.
or silt or something like that. We want to make sure whatever sand we're putting there is going to stay there, or going to be really nice for people who recreate on the beach.
So we all agree, if you're a surfer, if you're just a guy that lives near the beach, wants to take a walk on the beach, you need a beach.
Yeah, we're not much of a beach community without a beach.
Yeah, to walk on the beach, you definitely need a beach. Right. Definitely.
So my question is, what do you guys suggest, or what's the best option to keep the sand there once we get it?
Well, the coolest thing is that, you know, we're not coastal scientists. Okay? We're not shoreline engineers.
Yes.
But we've done due diligence, and we've read all the publishings of all these renowned coastal scientists: Gary Griggs, Bob Guza, Reinhard Flick. And there's been these collaborative efforts that have looked at our shoreline, and they tell you very simple. Again, if you want a broad sandy beach, you got to get the political will, which our city now has the will.
Okay, good.
And you have to retain the sand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So back to your question, Mike. Retaining the sand. There's a bunch of different retention solutions worldwide. You go up to Newport Beach.
Right.
They have a beautiful groin system that they put in 1968. And their beach was decimated. They put the groin system in, and I talked to their lifeguard captain, and they actually have to bulldoze sand because the sand drifts up, and the houses that are there, it goes into the houses and everything.
Too much sand.
Yeah, and if you look at it, their groins go all the way back to where the houses are. But there's so much sand on their beach that you don't even see the groins in the beach because it's covered by the sand.
They've had to build them over the years, right? Extend them.
But again, it's not a one-size-fits-all. So I'm not saying, damn it, groins got to go in an Oceanside.
Okay.
But some retention device has to go in. And that's the cool thing about the city. They did an initial study which said, hey, maybe an offshore reef, a pilot project of a few groins, and then hey, let's go to a design phase. Let's study it further. Let's see what the solution really is. And everybody got up in arms, passed resolutions, and said, no, we can't have anything like that on our shoreline. Well, other cities do.
So what is their alternative though? If you say no, what is your solution? Leave it as is, or what is
well, if you look at the phase 2 proposal, it's to come up with, and I think Jamie could take over here and do a much better job than I can, but it's really super cool. So the city said, hey, look at phase 2, we're moving forward with. We're funding it. The city council voted. for it. It passed. It's
Cool.
already kicked off.
Cool.
So it's a 2-phase project or a 2-part project. One is locate a very good source of sand,
Okay.
so we can do the beach nourishment part. 2 is there's a world-renowned engineering company called GHD, and they are running for the city. They're running a competition of
I read about that.
of 10. They're going to invite 10 world-renowned coastal engineering teams, and they're going to come up with innovative solutions, maybe nature-based, maybe a artificial headland, an offshore reef, some type of something that, but the bar is pretty high. Okay, it has to perform. It has to not negatively affect the surf. It can't affect the downdrift shoreline. You have to be able to walk up and over it or around it easily. So, pretty tall order for these engineers.
That sounds rad. I'll just leave it at that. But that sounds like it may take a long time. Is there any quicker solution? How long are we looking?
No, Mike, it's going to be years. I mean, it's going to
Really?
be 1 year for 10 months, right, Jamie? I think in December, we'll have taken those 10, taken them down to 3, and there'll be a jury of people across the coastline here, citizens, other cities maybe, surfers, outreach groups like ours, and they're going to be the judge. They're going to sit on those final 3 solutions and pick the best one that meets all the criteria to then further design and start into the implementing phase, the approval phase.
Okay.
Do we have examples? Well, we do. You already talked about Newport. But is this something that happens on the regular throughout the world? So we're like, this is a known, like the science behind this is readily available, or is this still somewhat like, we'll try this, we'll try that?
So what we're going to try and do is look to these design competitors to figure that out. So they're being invited from across the world. Mm-hmm. So we could get an artificial surf reef. We could get a reef that is more geared towards the development of invertebrates and of kelp. We don't know exactly what we're going to get out of the design competition, but our reach is really wide. Mm-hmm. And we already are getting some folks that are interested that are contacting us. And this was just approved last Wednesday or 25th. So we're already getting interest. And I can tell you that we are getting some good competitors and good teams out of this.
Great. As a surfer, I'm an amateur oceanographer and geologist and all that. Like all of us are, right? As
Weatherman,
kids,
too.
we're just nerds. So we know what works if we look at Newport Beach. It's built massive beaches, probably some of the widest beaches in Orange County. There's really good waves when there's a good swell. Every one of those little groins creates a nice little session to spread everybody out. Do we know there are negative environmental impacts of groins, or is it more of just the downstream? People don't want it to get trapped, or I don't want to put you on the spot if we don't know, but that's a question I have.
Usually there are down coast impacts depending on how that groin system is designed. So if you can design it to have limited or no impacts or mitigatable impacts, which means we can grab some sand and put it to the downstream end of it, or like Bob was saying earlier, if we get enough sand, then we can just do that back passing where we're going to be moving the sand that we capture and move it to the south. Those are all things that can come out of this project, that can come out of the program that the city is now working towards getting. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how big a voice does Coastal Commission have in this?
So one of the great parts about Phase 2...
I mean, I'll give my opinion.
Yeah.
They tend to overreach. That's my opinion, not yours. So
one of the things that we're trying to do here with this overall Phase 2 project is to have a retention system that has multiple benefits. So not just retaining sand, like I said, it could be that it improves surf resources. Like everyone that lives around here has seen Wisconsin break, and now it doesn't break anymore. It's too deep. So there could be that we get that extra benefit out of this project. You were saying about the Coastal Commission. So one of the other things we're going to be doing is in the steering committee or the jury or the judges that are going to be voting on the conceptual design, we're inviting the Coastal Commission right now. We've already made that effort. So they're going to be part of the steering committee that decides on the design of the retention project.
So not the no committee.
Exactly. You can't be a no to be on the jury.
So we'll just throw this out there that the 2 hosts of Southern California's best Southern California lifestyle show are available to be on the committee.
Nice.
Just-
Understood.
If you need it, we're here. We just want to help the community.
So now you can add that to your resume. Weatherman, surf forecaster, and juror for
Right.
coastal
Right.
resiliency.
There you
The only caveat is that if it does create a world-class surf break, I get like I get like a priority pass.
Yeah.
Just
Trademark.
something.
It'll
Just
be your
so-
break. It'll
Yeah,
be Bill's break. It'll be Bill's.
Bill's
We'll just,
Reef or
we'll just call it Bill's.
I think we're on to something. I think.
Bill, I'd like to say one thing about sand retention systems is if it's man-made, it was made by man.
Yes.
But if you drive up and down Laguna Beach or you go to
Yeah.
La Jolla and you look at all these little points that are sticking out, guess what those are? Those are sand retention systems.
headlands.
That was created by nature. We're just emulating what they want to do, we have not really even come up with an idea of what we're going to do.
Yeah.
It's just
So there have been some failures in the past, correct? So like I think it was like El Segundo did like Chevron Reef and stuff. Like
Right. There's a Pratt's Reef that was
Pratt's.
done with sandbags underwater. And then
that was a failure, right?
It was too deep. It wasn't big enough. It kind of the design got taken down to a level that wasn't beneficial enough. And so it failed and it had to be removed.
So, it's really interesting is we started this out just going, let's put sand back on the beach.
I mean, at the end of the day,
Right.
that's what we want.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we want sand back on the beach, but it's even bigger than that because you hear, climate change, sea level rise, coastal resiliency, right? What do? Hey, we got to manage retreat. Everybody pack your bags up and, move. That's not happening. Okay.
No one's
okay.
leaving.
I mean,
Yeah.
but again, near term, 40, 60 years, we can do something to improve our quality of life.
Yeah.
Improve the quality of life of people that come to our city, right? Because, we've seen them there. They get off that train from the Inland Empire, and there's a smile on their face because as soon as they walk down Seagaze,
Sure.
the kids are in the sand. Mom and dad are happy. They have a day at the beach. They get back on the train. They go home, and everything's cool, right? And they're digging it, and everybody should be able to enjoy that.
So with that being said, also with all the visitors from Escondido in the summer and all these people throughout the year, that I got to think that like the lifeguards got to think the safety of the beach now it's not as safe without sand.
And it's not. Bill Curtis, he's a classmate of mine. Actually, he went over to El Camino to the enemy after Oceanside and El Camino split back in the day, and set every record in the book over at El Camino. But anyway, talking to Bill and talking to Mike Halpide up in Newport.
Yeah.
When we first started this and we were talking about, we only kind of knew groins. Groins are one solution.
Right.
And so everybody came up and said, oh my God, groins. They're going to cause rip currents and they're going to cause this and they're going to cause that. So we did a whole frequently asked question. If you go to our website, we answered all these questions with fact-based. I interviewed Bill and Mike and they said, Bob, and Mike says, hey, look at our beach. There's a lifeguard station, a lifeguard tower at the head of every groin.
Okay.
He goes, I can put some of my most junior lifeguards there because I know where the rip current is.
Yeah.
I can post it. I can actively lifeguard. I can actively life save. And you know how many drownings happen when I'm guarding those areas? And Bill will say the same thing. South Jetty, North Jetty, we know where the rip currents are. It's that open beach. That's dangerous. And back to your question about a example of a sand retention system in our own backyard. The South Jetty or the San Luis Rey Groin. It was put in 1968 to stabilize the mouth of the San Luis Rey River when the harbor was built in 63. We don't put any beach nourishment sand on that beach.
Right.
Ever. Jamie, I don't think we have any record of ever putting sand on that
The
beach.
whole harbor stretch just gets skipped and they start at the pier.
There's no need for it.
Not only are they not putting sand on that beach, they're actually pumping out of the harbor and
bypassing
laying the pipe on the beach so they can ship it all down south.
So that's basically the harbor always has a beach, and that's where everyone goes. It's congested.
Yeah.
So here's one, and I know people. Yeah, as you can tell, sometimes I'm not a fan of central planning because sometimes I just don't think we know enough to make those big decisions. We as humans, not just.
Yeah.
How about the Army Corps of Engineers or the DOD is held accountable for the harbor that they built? That this was a commitment of theirs that never was fulfilled. Where are they in this?
Well, there's kind of a good news story here associated with them.
We're actively working with them. So they, Congressman Levin got the Army Corps project started back up in 2022, and by giving him the credit, I mean that he helped get that the money that was required to start that study again into the Army Corps work plan, and that's all just. There's a lot of there's a lot that needs to get done in order to get a federal project worked through by the Army Corps. So they are back engaged. They are working on a study. It will take 32 months for that study to be complete. And at the end of the study, there's a report to Congress that will discuss what kind of solution will happen for Oceanside. And we're in discussion with them very consistently because we have this other pilot project that we're embarking on now, and we want them to be married to the Army Corps solution. So whether that means the Army Corps decides that the city of Oceanside needs a 50-year beach nourishment project, that means that the city has designed a retention device that can be utilized in consultation with a 50-year beach nourishment project. Or they might come up with another solution, or they might actually look to our pilot project to figure out what they want to do.
Right. So I'm scared. Well, what I hear is, and I'm just going to, we said a lot. This is huge. Thank you guys. This is like a lot of information. It sounds like we're serving a lot of masters in this process. And I think the risk here is that perfection is the enemy of progress. So as we talked about, there's all these we'll call them stakeholders or desired outcomes that we want, not just sand on the beach. It's damage, and it's a big thing. Yeah. And it's nature. Because let's face it, we thought it was never going to rain again. It just rained 8 million inches in like 5 weeks. And like, we didn't expect that because I read all the forecasts in November and they all said, yep, dry winter, here we go. Yeah, and then afterwards they said, we really don't know as much as we thought. Like, yeah, I knew that. So that being a risk, and I won't put Jamie in this because I like her and I want her to continue to have her job. Do the Bobs think there is the political will? Because that's what this takes, is political will. Without that, nothing happens, irrespective of what you're doing that involves government or agencies.
I would say that the political will is migrating in this direction. If you talked about this 5 years ago, no, it wasn't there. But I think there is some, Jamie, you probably know, wouldn't you say even in state level it's loosening up a little bit? You're seeing a little bit of loosening?
Like from the Coastal Commission? I mean, I think politically, I know that Assemblywoman Lori Davies is very involved. We just had a meeting with her last week regarding Oceanside's coastal erosion problem. And I know Congressman Levin's always involved. We're always talking with them. And then I know our council's really involved, and they're absolutely on board because they hired a coastal zone administrator this last year.
That's Jamie.
And we're really happy that they did that.
We're pretty stoked. But
also, that was probably the best hire they've made in a long time at the city.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Also,
unquestionably.
What Jamie was just talking about is that meeting with Lori Davies. Jamie, you can kind of say who showed up. We had some big hitters there, and so it was amazing. I was looking around the table and going, wow, check out who's sitting at this table.
We had representation from the district supervisor, Jim Desmond's office. We had representation from Catherine Blakespeare, who's our new senator up in the state senator. We had representation from Mike Levin, his chief of staff, I think is the correct term, is Kyle Frolander-Crail was there. And we've had dialogue with a lot of these people throughout the last couple of years because we said, hey, this plan's coming and we need your support. It's not just a city thing, right? Because it dovetails into kind of a regional issue. Yeah. And the cool thing is, if we put a ton of sand on the Oceanside beaches, Carlsbad is going to benefit because that sand, it's going to take a bit to get retention. So we're going to have to do nourishment first. So,
right, like kind of the immediate, here's an immediate repair, but then there's a long-term solution because this sand will just go away. Like we've seen.
Every year.
Yep.
Year after year after year.
Yep.
We know that happens.
Yep.
So,
but to your point, I think the politicians are understanding this is an important thing, and when we had all the ARPA funds come into the city, I think it was $33 million, some amount like that, from the Recovery Act, and the city put out a what was that called? A survey.
Panels.
Yeah, and they had panels, and the number one item was homelessness. The number two item was beach sand.
There you go.
And the city council has responded in kind. You know, every time we've gone to them with something about let's restore the beaches, we get amazing support.
Okay. Is there anybody on the city council that's against it?
Yes, our mayor.
Really?
Yeah.
So why
She's all
is
for
Esther
nourishment.
against
Yeah,
it?
so let me state the facts. She's all for beach nourishment.
Okay, cool.
She is not for any hard structures on the shoreline, quote unquote.
Okay.
And I was talking to a person from Scripps a couple days ago, and he made this statement. I told him what was that our mayor voted against the phase 2 of this plan that got voted for by all the other city council members, and he looked at me and said, "Well, she's against sand on the beach. You cannot have."
So I'll leave Jamie out of this one too. Are you surprised?
Okay, we don't need just go. You can answer. If you
I'll
want.
answer it. I'm not surprised. How's that? I'll make a
Well,
statement.
it doesn't surprise me because at least she has a consistent stance.
She's
on
a
it.
consistent.
Okay.
no.
Okay, but I loved our council member Peter Weiss, who's been with the city a long time.
Forever.
And Peter,
He's a good dude. I've met him a few times.
Yeah, he's a good musician. He's a sound guy. He's an engineer, right? He's an engineer by trade. So he made a great comment at this last city council meeting where they approved phase 2.
Okay.
He said, we've been doing the same thing decade after decade. And expecting a different result. And that's a definition of what, my
That's
friends,
funny.
insanity. And
Right.
he's
That's
on the
funny.
record saying that. And he
Yeah.
goes, we got to do something different. And that's what the city's doing now. It's cool.
So I just want to make one comment that Oceanside actually has no natural retention structures whatsoever. There's
just a
no
big-
reef. We're on a sand spit. And
So
if
we're
it-
just a freeway for sand going up and down the coast.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well said.
Exactly. It's stops over every once in a while for a little while, but there's nothing like Encinitas has very low relief
Yeah, they got
reefs,
some-
Yeah.
and then there's a headland there at
Yeah,
Swami's,
yeah.
and then there are unnatural structures to the south of us as well, and those retain sand, even though that wasn't their intention. Like
You're
the
talking like
tamarack
tamarack
jetties,
and
yeah,
warm
Yeah.
waters.
yeah, these are
Ponto.
things that are keeping
Ponto,
the
yeah,
lagoon
yeah,
mouth
Ponto.
open, but they act to retain sand.
Yeah.
And Oceanside has none of that. There's not even one. Even the the effluent sewer pipeline for the effluent that comes out at Loma Alta, it is on the ground seafloor, and there's no sand being stopped by that pipeline. Even it's just we just don't have anything retaining sand here.
What did the models say Oceanside would look like if the basin was never built, if the jetties were never here? What would it look like naturally? Would there be some beach if people never showed up here, or is it just naturally subject to kind of being scoured?
Well, we do have bluffs here, so we would kind of have a similar profile like Carlsbad
Well, we had
has.
bluffs, but now there's houses, and you can't let that run off, obviously.
Right. But all that was built, way before the Coastal Commission, for one, and then two, it was built at a time when there was a whole bunch of artificial sand management happening. So the harbors were getting constructed. All that sand came out of that construction and was placed on the beach. We're talking tens of millions of cubic yards of sand just from the construction of those two harbors, placed in the 50s and 60s when everyone was looking to come, make their mark out here.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So a lot's been said. We've learned a lot. Is there anything we're missing here?
Well, one thing we never talked about is the San Luis Rey River. And
Yes.
I'll let Jamie talk about that.
Well,
but
I blew out last
It's-
week or 2 weeks ago, whatever.
it blew out, but it's also been retained where the river used to at one time, to answer your question, Mike, it used to at one time flood out the valley and go around and grab all that
Yes.
sand and pull that down to the beach.
Yes.
And that land management, we made it so that cannot happen
Yeah.
anymore. And, we
And
could
I
build
think the
houses up
watershed
against that.
was reduced also, right? Didn't it used to flow from Henshaw, and that watershed no
Yeah.
longer
Well, it
links?
was dammed. It was dammed. The only river that flows pretty freely to the shoreline is Santa Margarita in the
Yeah,
San
on
Diego
base.
County. Yeah. And I saw that during the storm. It was flowing. It
Yeah.
was.
And I've seen it in years past where
And
good waves.
And I'm also a fisherman. We
Listen.
found a native trout there about 10 years ago. Someone caught a native trout. They
Nice.
thought we're gone.
Nice.
Steelhead? Or
Yeah, it was a steelhead. It was probably some kid caught
See?
it
Right on.
8, 9 years ago. It was a little baby one, but it was oh my gosh, we thought these were gone 50 years ago.
Yeah. But there's a lot of great ideas and really important reasons to restore our shoreline.
Okay.
For instance, those of us who grew up here probably remember fondly, your mom or dad dragging you down to the shoreline, having a bonfire, and going for the grunion.
Mm-hmm.
The grunion run is a trickle anymore, right?
Yes, I remember as a kid going to see the grunion and tripping out.
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
the best thing
it's
ever.
gone.
Just like it's like a Normandy beach invasion or
Yes,
something.
it was
The grunion
weird.
are coming in,
And I have not seen it since.
and that's a cool reason to restore our shoreline. Habitat for the sea life and
of course.
the
Totally.
waterfowl that actually used to live here.
Right.
You can't have sand crabs without sand.
I've seen them in years.
Yeah. And if there's no sand crabs, I can't dig them up and catch Corbina. So we have a problem.
We do have a problem.
What's the future like? Give me your outlook. Like, we obviously know what our desired outcome is, but what's the next 10 years look like? What do you guys think?
I'll give you a positive picture of the next couple of years.
Cool.
So the city has our scoop permits in place, which means we can place sand if and when it becomes available. Just this week, I was contacted by a developer in Solana Beach who has lots of available sand. It's already been tested and found compatible with Solana Beach beaches. I have to see if it's compatible with our beaches, and I have to go through a short process to get that.
You're good. Go ahead. Take it. It's good.
I have to get that. I have to go through a couple of processes, but that is an opportunistic source of sand.
Great.
Folks are reaching out because they know that
nice.
we have this option here. I'm
Perfect.
working with a couple of different restoration projects that are happening. They're restoring wetlands, and so they're going to be excavating material out of areas that have sand.
Mm-hmm.
So they're contacting me, and we're talking about how to get the sand. So in the short term, we're going to be using these scoop permits. They're hard to use, but we're going to be using them, and the word is out there, and you guys are helping me get the word out that we need sand, and we need it to be sand that comes to Oceanside relatively easily. Like,
We should talk
not our
afterwards because
effort.
I have some industry groups and would love to know that. I'm sure they already know because when any time a developer can save money, we know pretty quick. In about a day, we're like, really? Oh my gosh! But anyway, yeah, that's okay. So there's a short-term solution or a short-term improvement on the horizon. We'll see some change here.
Well, there's really a cool thing going on because of so much dialogue has started and has generated and is consistently being done. So if you looked at it, on a big chart, there's a bunch of things going on in parallel, right? There's a regional beach sand replenishment. We've done 2 prior to this, and there's a regional beach sand number 3 that's being studied. The city just put some money in to pay their share of the study fees, and that could be another large replenishment or beach nourishment program but again, it's years out, right? It's probably 4 to 6 years, Jamie. I think that's right. Average. But that's happening. You got the scoop permit happening. You got our annual dredge happening, and the city's asking for another $1 million from the federal government to put more sand on the beach during that evolution. Go deeper, go in some other areas maybe, and get more sand. We have Jamie full time looking at our shoreline. Awesome. And so there's some good things happening near term, but like you said, it's kind of a near term, long term, midterm solution.
An all the above approach, not just looking for a golden arrow that just kills everything.
The positive thing is we've never had anybody like Jamie. We've never had that position. That position was just created, and
So it's a game changer.
And Jamie actually came from Encinitas, and, and her project is the Living Shoreline. Is that what they call it down there? The Living Shoreline? Yeah, the Cardiff Living Shoreline that they put in all those little
the restoration, the SDG&E restoration.
Maybe Jamie can tell you a little bit about that.
But one question, real quick, in the short term, and you start getting people or organizations to add sand, where's the first spot you're going to start dropping the sand? Is it going to be South O that's vacant, or are you going to start at Tyson and move your way down, or what's the game plan?
Yeah, it'll depend on the conditions at the time.
Okay.
Likely we're targeting South O.
Yeah,
because
like Cassidy and Buccaneer
it's got
and
the
all.
worst conditions right now.
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah.
Doesn't the scoop go like between Oceanside Boulevard and South O? kind of that area? Isn't that the kind of the idea? Or maybe not.
There's 2 placement areas that are around Tyson and then around Buccaneer.
Just don't do it like they did like 10 years ago where they dumped all the sand and then there was like a 10-foot drop off and there was no sand. And now it was like, great. The beach looks great. There's no way to surf here. There's no, like.
So we're selfish. We want to surf.
You can see we have an angle. Everybody has an angle.
Yeah.
But so what do you think?
Yeah.
Are we smarter for this conversation? I am. Not
100%.
smarter. I'm more well informed. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say if anybody wants to get involved, it's super easy. You can find us online. It's sosoceanside.org.
.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, either
And
one.
how do and people can donate because
We have become a 501c3, so we are accepting any philanthropic people at any level. And
That's probably big part of it.
And that money comes right back to the city and to the people because we're just all about marketing and education and getting the word out there on what's going on, right? Because then people can make an informed decision.
Yeah. So we'll link to through our Instagram. You guys have Instagram and all the social stuff?
Yeah, we have Instagram, Facebook,
Okay.
we have a
We'll put on the
website
show
up.
notes.
Yeah,
So we'll link that
Correct.
through our Instagram to everybody, and then
Fantastic.
also, if people want to donate, I encourage them to do that. I mean, there's a lot of ways to help out society, and some of them, frankly, are just giving your money away. Other ones have results, and this sounds like one where you'll be able to see
This is direct.
what you put your energy into.
And then if people want to volunteer or help you guys out, is there availability?
We'd love to have them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We have different committees. Save Oceanside Sand. We have a citizen science committee.
Okay.
We have outreach committees. We have marketing committee. We have different organizations that we could use help on any one of
Tons
these
of ways
committees.
to get involved.
Correct.
Exactly.
All right, and also participate in the city hearings, right? And in the public forums. I'm assuming you have to do that as part of the process.
Yep, I'm going to be putting together a whole bunch of public outreach opportunities and events, and we'll be going to the beach to do some of these. Some of them will be at City Hall, and some of them will be kind of in the El Corazon area. And then I update the city's coastal zone management webpage regularly.
Okay.
So just Google coastal management Oceanside, and you'll head to that webpage.
And lobby our mayor and tell her to support sand replenishment.
Sand retention.
All of it.
All of it. Yeah.
Change your.
Yeah.
Just get on the program. So and that's any politician. Be involved. I say people all the time. We hear it all the time. People don't participate in any process, but they complain. It's like you got to play that. You got to be in the game if you want to. You can't bitch about things that you didn't participate in when you had an opportunity. So
Bill, it's funny you say that because I grew up here in Oceanside, class of '78 here at Oceanside High, and then joined the Navy, moved away, lived in Hawaii for 20 years. And then the kids grew up and moved back to California, right? And so we came back.
Okay.
And I met these guys at Bagby's here almost 4 years ago, and I was asking a bunch of questions as to what they are and who they are and what they're doing. And then afterwards, they approached me and said, "Hey, you need to join us."
right.
And I said, "What are we doing?" "We're going to put sand back on the beach."
You're like, yeah, I'm in. What are we doing?
And so I showed up to that first city council meeting, kind of skeptical,
Yeah.
and I heard the city council members reply, and then they voted, and it was like, wow, this works. So, it's amazing.
So I want to thank you guys for doing this, by the way, for taking your own time out of the day.
Not
and
the
doing all
podcast,
this.
but doing
Not the podcast,
supporting
but in
this
general,
cause.
making this
thanks.
happen.
Oh,
Yeah,
Mike,
appreciate it.
it's our
Yeah.
passion. We're in it for the long haul. As we say, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Right.
Good.
And we're there.
And you guys have put your own personal time in for this,
Oh,
and we
yeah.
appreciate that.
That's a full-time
Probably
job.
a lot, right?
It's a full-time job.
With
Couple
that being
hours here and there.
Right.
With
And
that
thanks,
being
Jamie,
said-
for bringing the city's voice to this.
Yes.
It's important
Yes.
because if she wasn't here or the city didn't create this role, this is a pointless conversation because without the agencies, supporting it, nothing's going to happen. So this is good.
It amazes me that all cities do not have a position like Jamie.
Coastal
full-time.
cities
Coastal
should.
cities.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but SOS, you guys are instrumental in getting the position created. So
It's a covenant relationship, though. We do collaborate and we do support each other. So it's really awesome.
But I need to ask everyone that listens to this, tell a friend to listen to this. Even if you don't live in Oceanside, they need to be educated with this.
Definitely.
Secondly is make sure, don't say I'm going to get involved. Get involved.
Yeah.
Because
Thank you.
if everyone does a little bit, no one has to do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So
right.
we all got to participate some way, even if it's an hour a month or whatever you guys need.
Right.
It
It's
is.
everyone's
we have,
ocean. It's
we have
everyone's
a lot
beach.
of committees, and
Yeah.
whatever if your passion's marketing, if your passion's science, if your whatever your passion is,
Raising
we
money.
probably have that available for them.
Web design, whatever you
Yeah.
like. If you just
Right.
want to come out and talk to people about
Yeah.
the issue, come out on Saturdays and
I'm
join
sure
us
there's
at
a
the
job
beach.
for everybody.
Yeah.
We're
Cool.
and if your passion's to open up your wallet and help us out, we would appreciate it.
That's the best way.
And I'm not just asking that for money. We're actually buying transect monitors so we can monitor the beach and send this information to Scripps Institute of Oceanography.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And we're working with them. So
Perfect.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Well, hey,
Thank you guys
Very good.
so much for joining
what's
us.
the
Thank
button?
you.
What's the one?
You going to do it?
I don't even know which one it is, but hey, thanks everybody. and
Thanks,
tell
Bob.
a friend.
Bob,
Thanks for
Jamie.
having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
All
you.
right, we're out of here, you guys. Sing.
Ba-da-da. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba.
All right. Hey, you guys. Endless Summer box set. This thing is legit. It's authentic. Numbered certificate in it. It has a 5-frame film strip from the original print. You will literally own a piece of history. It has a specially minted bronze medallion. Dude, that thing's sick. Okay, there's so much more here. Go to the show notes. There's a link on there. Go check this piece of history out. This thing's rad. Seriously. Smithsonian American History Museum has it. It took 4 years of research with 3.5 in production, all hand assembled. This thing's rad. So much to this awesome box set. Remastered DVD, sharper images than the original film, but dude, this thing's so sick. Link in the show notes.